My Life, a radio show about your life. Now, your host for My Life, the publisher of The Senior Saver, Kevin Fry.
All right, here we are again on this fine Tuesday afternoon. We have a special guest with us, as we usually do every single week, Chase McPhee. Did I say that right?
You did.
All right. Chase and I haven't known each other that long, but we have a brief history because my mother likes to do stand-up comedy, and so I help her with some of her stuff once in a while. I go to her shows sometimes to support her. And then Chase has been there. He's been at some of the comedy competitions that she's been at, and he likes to do stand-up comedy as well. Am I right?
You are correct. 100%.
Yeah. Do you write your own comedy?
I do.
Oh, is that right?
I absolutely do, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Do you like the writing process of comedy?
When it goes well, yeah. when it flows, but when you sit down with a pen and a pad of paper and just wait for something to come, it's agonizing.
Yeah. Writing is probably the hardest part of all. Well, we're going to talk about you during this show. This is a show that focuses on you and your life. And so I like to say, hey, I don't have to start at birth, but let us know kind of where you grew up, where you're born, where you went to school. Where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, actually. We lived within probably the same 3-mile radius my whole life. We didn't move that often, but when we did, it was within the same block. I think I was within the same high school boundaries the whole time. So I went to Olympus High School, so kind of up on the east bench there. Just technically I lived in Holiday, but people hear Holiday and they think rich area.
Yeah.
We were probably the ghetto of Holiday. Not that my life was ghetto, but it's like, yeah, we were technically Holiday, but not Holiday.
What did you weren't having a holiday?
No.
What did your dad do?
So he worked for a book publishing firm for a number of years, and then he eventually started his own business, and that's what he did for most of my life. And so he
What kind of business was it?
So basically, if someone wrote a book, they could come to my dad. He's kind of a broker to get it published, and they come to him and say, "Hey, wrote this book. Here's how I want it to look. Here's this." And then he worked with a bunch of different binders and stuff throughout the state to make that happen for him. So like a lot of the books you see at Deseret Book were done through his company.
Cool. Let's get that microphone a little bit closer to you.
All right.
There
Sorry
you go.
about that.
No, that's okay. No, it just picks up a better resonance when you're closer to it.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So and then did your mom work?
No, she was a stay-at-home mom. She, from what I understand, had jobs before I was born, but all of my memories, she was always at home taking care of us, getting us to school, getting us fed.
Yeah. And you had two siblings.
2 sisters. So I had my older sister who's 3 years older than me, and then when I was 8, my little sister who's 8 years younger than me.
Wow.
A little bit of a gap. So
wow, that's really...
She was adopted, and so we always say that, my older sister and I, between 8 years old and 11 years old, that's 19 years of my parents just realizing their genes weren't cutting it, so they decided to adopt the third one.
That's cool. All right. So what were you, when you went to school, elementary school, when you were 8 years old, what did you want to do with your life?
Oh, when I was 8, probably a number of things. When I was 8, I was determined I was going to be like a triple athlete, play professional baseball, basketball, and football. None of those things came to fruition. But I would play football and basketball with the city leagues growing up, but that's kind of what I was obsessed with from most of my growing up was just different sports.
Yeah, so you grew up playing them, and then you also had the dream of someday I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to be a pro.
That's what the goal was. And then I got to junior high and high school and realized there's a lot better athletes than me. Just
it's discouraging when that happens.
A little bit. And not to make excuses, they went to camps every year that I didn't. I would rather be swimming in the summertime and so there was a noticeable talent gap as I got older, and I don't say that with any animosity or grudge towards them. That's just what it was.
Well, it's interesting because I think when it comes to sports, there are those people who just have this natural knack, who are just kind of natural athletes, and they don't need a lot. You don't need to go to the camps really. They're just good.
Yeah,
you can tell they just have this ability that's above most people. But then there's other people that I think if you look at like Tiger Woods, for example, and his dad worked with him from the time he was just 5 years old. He got a golf club in his hand when he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And he taught him, and I'm sure he had a lot of coaches, and he golfed with them all the time. And now you look at Tiger and his son Charlie. I don't know if you follow any of that.
A little bit.
But that his son Charlie, look at the opportunities that kid's going to have.
Oh, yeah.
Because his dad's Tiger Woods. He'll get the best training possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then he's got the best golfer in the world as a father.
It's fun to watch them swing because they do the exact same swing. Like everything's the exact same. So yeah, he's going to be light years ahead of just the average kid who grows up golfing.
And I'm sure people will be mesmerized and fascinated to watch his career, which I'm sure will happen.
Oh yeah.
In this, was it the PNC Championship or whatever this past week? I don't know if you watched that. Father and son played together, and it was just kind of interesting to watch because both of them were limping.
Oh, were they?
I thought,
Wow.
wait a minute, you're carrying this a little too far.
Wow. That's fascinating. Yeah. No, I've seen little clips here and there, like
Yeah.
on TikTok and stuff, but yeah, I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, kid, Charlie had a foot injury or something. But anyway, so it's just interesting about sports. When I grew up playing hockey, and you're a hockey fan.
I am a hockey fan.
Yeah. So was it Pittsburgh Penguins, you said, is kind of your favorite hockey team?
Yeah. So my wife is from Pittsburgh, and her dad took me to my first game in 2018.
Uh-huh.
And I've always been kind of a hockey fan and cheered for different teams, but that experience sucked me right in. So I'm all in on the Penguins.
Yeah, yeah. And then you said you're football, basketball, what else? Baseball, and then hockey.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's your baseball team?
I'm a Mets fan.
Really?
Yeah. So not threatening to anyone.
Have you been out there to see a game?
No, I would love to. I wasn't a huge Mets fan until about 7 or 8 years ago. Then they kind of won me over.
Yeah.
But it's on my bucket list to go out and go to a game out there.
Okay, so you went to Olympus High School.
I did.
And did you play on any teams? Did you do any of that stuff?
Not for the school. Played a lot of like competition with rec leagues and stuff around. Again, the talent gap was wide enough. I mean, I could hold my own. I wasn't embarrassed at tryouts.
Right.
But I wasn't at the level I probably needed to be. And my grades weren't great. I had a hard time going to a full day of high school, and that affects my grades.
Why is that? What was going on with you?
I just had probably too much freedom, and I don't like sitting for 8 hours a day anyway, even as an adult. So sitting for an hour and a half of one class 4 times a day, it was tough. And
are you easily distracted? Are you ADD, ADHD, that kind
probably
of thing?
less now than I was then, but it didn't take much. I could be walking to class and someone could say, "Hey, you want to go to Arby's?" It's like, "Yeah, let's go to Arby's. We'll go hang out there for an hour and a half." So
you got bored easily.
I did, and I like to have control in my life, and so when I was at school, I never felt like I had control. If I left and would go do my own thing, I was in complete control of that. No matter what the consequences are, I always felt more safe in my own space.
And you felt this lack of control because there was a teacher in charge?
Either a teacher in charge or there's 30 students in one class, and whether I was there didn't matter.
So did you feel overwhelmed that you were in this group and that you kind of were just not,
Yeah, I think naturally growing up with sports, I think I was in competition with everyone. So if I see 30 kids and I know a lot of them are way better students than I was, it was easier for me to just kind of take myself out of the game and not go rather than sit there and compare myself. Because if I see someone else finish a test before I do, I start panicking and just start finishing the test as quick as I could.
That's the way you were as a kid?
That's exactly how I was.
You're always watching everyone else to see how they were doing and kind of comparing?
I couldn't just get in my own head and say, all that matters is here on my desk. Everyone else's desk mattered to me. And so
you were easily distracted.
Yeah.
Even in a test situation, you'd be watching other kids to see what they were up to.
Very concerned about what everyone else was up to.
Huh. Okay. So sports was your dream, and then you kind of learned as you grew up that there were a lot of guys out there with a lot of talent, and you kind of were intimidated by that. Even though did you grow early? You're 6'3" now.
I grew fast. I was always the tallest one in my class, and in my family, it's not even close. My dad's 5'10".
Is he?
And so we don't really know where the height came. I have an uncle who's barely north of 6 feet, but we don't know really where the height came from. But up until 7th grade, I had never seen anyone taller than me. That was my age. And then
You were always the tallest kid.
always. And then 7th grade comes, and all of a sudden you got Sean Green coming in, who's 6 inches taller than me, and I was like average height. It was a very tall high school, where all of a sudden you go from the tallest thing in your elementary school to, hey, you're just average now. It was, yeah.
It was discouraging to you.
It was like, okay, so life isn't just
Yeah.
pro chase.
Wait, this is supposed to be all about me.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
we all have to go through it, I think.
That's why I came on the show. It was all about me.
Yeah, well, it's your life, man. So I am going back in time, 8th grade. I was like short. I was one of the shortest kids, and I played on the basketball team, right, in
Yeah.
8th grade. But then when I came back, over the summer into the fall semester, everyone had grown a foot.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
From 8th grade to 9th grade, every kid had grown like a foot. And everyone's coming up to me going, I played guard, and I could play okay. I was a pretty good player. At least he'd play me.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, hey, man, you going to try out for the team? You going to try out for the 9th grade team? I'm like, nope.
Nope.
I was
Save my
just
time.
way too small. I just was very intimidated by the fact that I was still a shrimp and everybody had grown.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for sure.
Yeah. So I can understand what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
What subjects did you like when you were in school?
Oh, man. If any of the classes that I went to that would hold my attention the best was like U.S. history.
Huh.
I didn't mind U.S. history. I struggled in math, couldn't stand math. I did okay in
When you
English.
say math, you mean algebra? Or...
I mean anything with a letter or a shape in it.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Forget that. huh?
It didn't make sense. I could write papers. I don't mind writing essays, so I didn't mind English, but I think that's why I liked history is I would write papers on events in history. The best I ever did on a test in my life was doing a report on the diary of Anne Frank.
Oh, really?
And
You were interested in that?
out of 50 questions, I missed 2. I had 40 out of 50, and I did the report. That's the best I ever did. So certain things like that would just grasp me. And again, not that I was a great student even in those, but that's probably the subject I hated the least. To be fair,
Yeah,
to be fair.
yeah.
If I could go back, I'd sit there and love it. And now I'd
You'd appreciate it more.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So writing was something, and that was me too, I think, growing up, is writing I actually enjoyed. I can remember being in 5th grade, 6th grade, and you'd have to write a story. I would always write mine really fast.
Yeah.
And then often it would get read by the teacher. You know what I mean? And that I don't know if that sort of thing happened to you.
My teachers were always pretty good at not reading it without permission, or if they did read it, they wouldn't out whose paper it was. It happened to me 2 or 3 times where I say, this person's paper was really good. Here's what was written. I'm not going to say who it was unless I wanted to volunteer myself, which I never did. I didn't want
You
the
wouldn't
attention.
want the attention of that.
I just sat there, and then after class, I'd stay back and go thank the teacher for the nice things they said.
Did you ever write funny things when you were a kid?
Yes.
Did you?
I did. In fact, that's probably why my teachers liked it, is I would make funny references.
Like, give me an example.
Okay, so like in 3rd grade, I did this report on gorillas. I've always been fascinated by gorillas. I don't know what it is, but we had to choose an animal and follow its life. There's no way I could get away with this today. I don't even know if I'll get away with saying this. So I have Polynesian relatives,
Right.
So I included pictures of
Your relative?
of actual gorillas.
Okay.
And then my uncle was a big Samoan guy. And as a joke, I put a picture of him and said, this is a Salt Lake City gorilla. Again, this was
You were how old?
1996. I was 9.
You were 9.
And I did this
You were
with,
being innocent about it.
well, and to be
To a degree.
fair, my mom approved this idea. She's like, no, it'll be funny. And so, yeah, again, I don't know. There's no way I'm getting away with that today. But as a 9-year-old who had the, approval from his mom, yeah, that's something I did.
This is what a Salt Lake City gorilla looks like. That's
yeah,
what you said.
because I did everything from like Western lowland gorillas to higher mountain gorillas, and it fit funny in that report. And
now here's my uncle.
yeah, pretty much. And my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Barnes, wrote "ha ha" on that. So
And today you'd be like, oh, we need to send you to the counselor.
yeah, you're sending me to the counselor
Yeah.
and going to court if I do that today.
That's funny. Anything else that you recall that you got attention for, things that you wrote in class?
I mean, there were times where you'd have to stand up and do like a presentation in class by yourself.
Did you
and-
like doing that?
No, not at the time.
You didn't like drawing attention to yourself, it sounds like.
No. At least not in school. Like if I was ever asked to talk in church, never bothered me. For the
You
first
grew up
time-
LDS, right?
I grew up LDS. So
Okay.
from like the time I was 12 all the way up, anytime I got asked to speak in sacrament or the congregation, never bothered me. But speaking to a small group of my friends that I associate with every day
That freak you out?
terrified me.
Really?
Yeah. And so to make it easier, my parents would give me ideas to make it lighthearted. And, if you say this, it might make the
So you use comedy to lighten the mood.
which is a thing I've done my whole life is I have somehow been programmed in my brain to say, I'm going to take discomfort and make people laugh with it. If you're laughing with me at what I say, you're not going to laugh at me at my mistakes.
I don't think that's very uncommon. I think I was kind of a class clown growing up too.
Were you?
And I think that I was always social, but I also I don't know. I mean, comedy played a role for me too as a kid, and I think maybe it was to be accepted, or maybe because I was small. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I didn't grow like the other kids. I don't know what it was.
I remember we did an art project in 6th grade. I was the kid whenever there was an art project, mine was just going to get screwed up. Cotton balls would be everywhere. Glue would be on the table. Because again, I'm not focused on what I'm doing. I'm watching everyone else's great.
stuff.
And so,
Yeah,
and then
feeling intimidated by what they're doing.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like every art project was like that for me. And then we were in the gym class one day and we had to do this game where we passed the hula hoop without using our hands to, and it was coming my way. And I said out loud, I'm going to mess this up. And it's not even an art project. And my teacher doubled over laughing and the class laughed. And that made me relax a lot more. So I would constantly look for like little things I could just say like that. If I could get the teacher to laugh, I was great.
Yeah, that would be the goal at some point, right? To
Pretty
get
much.
The teacher. That would help you to be kind of the teacher's pet. You might get better grades that way too. Who knows?
My citizenship grades were always great.
Citizenship.
The letter grades not so much, but
Yeah.
when it came to with the teachers liking me, I never had a bad report off of that.
How was studying for you?
Difficult, not because when I would actually study, it was great. If I would actually sit down and discipline myself and study for a test, went fine.
Yeah, it seems like you're a fairly intelligent guy. Like you'd pick that up pretty quick.
I can retain information pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't discipline myself enough to sit there and retain all the information needed.
Memorization, is that something? I mean, as a stand-up comedian now, you've got to memorize stuff.
I've always had a fairly good memory.
Have you? Mm-hmm. So you haven't had a problem really remembering things that you've written, kind of word for word, verbatim.
So, for the most part, verbatim, or at least the bullet points of I know, so to say, it's like the tools I need. Okay, those are tools I know how to build this in my brain. Like I can make that work.
Huh.
So even growing up giving church talks, just bullet points. I'd never read a church talk. It's just little bullet points, and I knew what I needed to say, and then I could just go.
You obviously grew up in an LDS family. Did religion play a role in the development of your personality, do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. That's a loaded question.
Interesting question, isn't it?
I'm not sure if I'll answer this where it will make sense. Religion was always a safe place for me. I knew no matter how bad my school day was on Wednesdays, I knew Wednesday night when I would go to like my young men's activities, there was going to be fun, laughter there. And I got along great with my youth leaders. In fact, one of my youth leaders I still talk to regularly. He became like a second dad to me. But a lot of what I learned with the leaders I had and where I grew up, and this is probably rare in religion, I learned that it was okay to laugh. It was okay to get a little irreverent sometimes and do things that
Even at church.
Yeah. Or at scout camp or whatever. I learned it was okay to have that little bit of irreverence just to kind of break
People
up the monotony.
appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think that in a large part shaped who I am and probably saved me from a lot of self-destructive habits. It's okay to cut loose a little bit.
You said that you when you were growing up that your parents relegated you to the basement.
Yeah, it's so okay. So we moved into this house when I was 8 years old, and at the time it was just me, my dad, my sister, and my mom.
Okay.
And then we got news that we were going to be adopting my little sister, and we knew we were getting her 6 months before we were born. And the way the house was set up is up on the top floor there was the master bedroom, and then
One other bedroom.
the two other bedrooms. So I had a bedroom and my sister had a bedroom. And then I don't remember if it was my choice or not, but they said, hey, we could turn the office downstairs in the basement to a really cool room. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so when my little sister was born, I was in the basement, and I had the whole basement to myself. So there's a bedroom,
Two
in the
girls
basement,
upstairs.
two girls upstairs, and my parents, and then I was in the basement where I could, they'd tuck me in, and then I could sneak out and watch TV late night and
Like,
watch
this is
sports.
all right.
And so
as you got older, when did you start fishing? You said fishing was kind of a big part of your
fishing
youth.
has been a big part of my life. I mean, I have pictures of me fishing when I was
Just
4
a
or
little
5
tyke,
years old.
huh?
My dad and his dad were big into it, and his brother and my cousins, and so
Fly fishing? What kind of fishing?
fly fishing kind of came later. I haven't got the knack for that yet, but my dad started fly fishing when I was closer to my teen years, and he really got into that. But I mean, he takes his grandkids, my kids, to the same fishing pond that he used to take me to just outside of Camas.
Huh.
And so fishing's been a part of my life forever.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Well, you said that you would go into the Hyuentas, I
The
guess,
Hyuentas.
and you just go up there and take your whatever vehicle you had and go find a lake. I used to do that when I was a kid in Canada.
So I had a Toyota Tacoma, and as I got older and was living on my own, I worked in Park City, and so I'd get off work at 3:30, 4 o'clock.
What'd you do? What kind of work?
I was a shipping and receiving clerk, and
Okay.
eventually a logistics person for a company that does aerospace stuff. But I'd get off, 3:30, 4 o'clock once the trucks were done. I'd hop in my truck. Fishing gear was always there, and I would just head up the mountains, and I would fish till it was too dark to see, and then I would drive home.
And home was how far away? Half hour?
A long way.
Was
I
it?
mean, I lived in Murray.
Oh
And-
my gosh!
and
So it'd be like an hour.
So I mean, from the building I worked at to where I lived was 30 miles one way, and I was going an extra 30 miles up the mountain to go fishing. But I was single. I had no debt at the time. It was easy to do.
You didn't mind that. You didn't mind being out in the middle of nowhere by yourself.
There were times it was a little sketchy because I'm great in wilderness unless I think there's an animal. And then I'm the worst. I was fishing by myself one night, heard a big thump and then a big crash of a tree. And I thought, that's probably a bear. Reeled in, got in my car, backed up, and I just kind of waited to see. And it was a beaver. It was a little beaver that pulled
really?
a tree out. And I was still so hyped up that I just went home. The day was ruined. Even though I knew it wasn't a bear, I was done.
Well, you also said that a lot of times people who like to fish also like to hunt, but that wasn't really your thing.
No. Never was. I never went on an official hunt. We went out and did the thing where you hunt like jackrabbits in the desert and stuff.
Yeah, it's real common.
And just watching something get shot and it was just it
Wasn't your thing.
I was 11 when it happened. It didn't resonate with
Kind of
me
hurt your feelings a little bit.
a little bit,
Huh.
and so hunting was never my thing. I'm not against it, but I can't go pull the trigger.
It's interesting. I never really as far as the hunting thing goes, I went bear hunting once with
did
a
you?
friend of mine, and I've never been so scared in my life. I was 18, I think, at the time. I thought I'm going to die
Yeah.
out here. I'm going to get eaten by a bear for sure.
I don't know if this is good to say or not, but anytime I hear about people bear hunting, I typically cheer for the bear.
I know.
I actually really
That's
like
the way
bears.
I was feeling when I was out there. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Plus, that thing, if he ever gets close to me, I'm done.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, we're going to go to a break here in just a little bit. But when we come back, what I'd like to talk about is some of your stand-up comedy stuff.
Okay.
Because I know you're going to you've got some shows coming up, I know,
Yeah.
that we can talk about. But I also want to talk about the comedy process and what inspired you to get involved in comedy, number one.
Okay.
Number two is, how do you go through the process of figuring out what to write and what's going to be funny and what's not going to be funny?
Okay.
And then maybe part three to that is, what do you do when you write stuff that you think is funny, but nobody else thinks is funny?
Deal. I have answers for those.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I've got answers for those.
All right. Chase McPhee is our guest today, and we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to My Life, a show about your life. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is Henry Fogel inviting you to join me for the next edition of Collector's Corner. We will be reproducing the inaugural programs of the NBC Symphony Orchestra, which were conducted by Bruno Walter, not by Arturo Toscanini, interestingly, in 1939. Music of Mozart, Berlioz, Weber, Corelli, and Brahms on the next Collector's Corner, conducted by Bruno Walter. I'm Henry Fogel. Join me for Collector's Corner, Monday mornings at 11 on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
It's time for you to get the Radio St. George app. It's available on iTunes or Google Play. You can stream audio and video, listen to podcasts, make a request, and so much more. Download the Radio St. George app today. We made it for you. The Radio St. George app on iTunes or Google Play.
Email us at radiostgeorge@gmail.com.
We welcome you back to My Life, a radio show about your life. And now your host from the Senior Saver, Kevin Fry.
Okay, wow, just in time.
Just in time.
To take a quick call there. Anyway, Chase McPhee is our guest today, and what we're going to transition now, we've been talking about his life and growing up and kind of what made him who he is, that kind of a thing. But we didn't talk about the fact that you got married. You got married
Later than
Yes.
most in this community.
In Utah terms, you were like an old man when you got married.
I was almost kicked out.
Yeah.
So
You're like,
I was 31 before I got married.
yeah, you're like, what do they call it when a guy's single and he won't get married? He's
An apostate.
an apostate.
I don't know.
A menace to society or
Yeah,
something like that.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
So
It's-
you were a menace to society for a while.
A little bit. I did not mind being a menace to society, though, in that sense. I kind of enjoyed single life. Not that I made great decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a better person because of my wife, but I did not mind
Staying
having
single,
no
huh?
responsibilities, so to say, other than my 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
And you went to college. I know you went to Dixie State for a while.
yeah.
And then you said you told me a story about how you followed a woman to
Yeah.
University of Utah. That didn't work out.
Okay, so kind of backstory. I was the kind of student I was in high school. I was the opposite in college. I
Oh.
actually did really well.
You buckled down in
I
college.
buckled down, and I was getting A's and B's mostly. And the second year I was down there, met a girl, and whether
Was she your first real girlfriend? kind of?
probably the first one that lasted
Yeah.
longer than a couple weeks. Like it got serious, and it got serious quick. And at the time I was 24. I'm in this environment that says you got to get married quick, and so I think I probably pushed things harder than I probably should have. But
Because you went on a mission.
I did.
Where did you go on a mission to?
New York City.
New York City, and then
New
you
York
came
City.
back and you went to school, and then you met this girl, and you're like, "Hey, man, I'm 24. I got to get married."
Yeah,
That's what you think, right?
pretty much.
Yeah.
And and I never felt that I had to get married fast, but it's something I wanted to do. It's what a lot of my friends did.
Oh, of course.
And so you want to fit in, and so almost like fishing, you feel a little bite and you want to start reeling in. And that, I mean, at the time I was 24, she was 19. That's not a really great recipe. I mean, she's still figuring out who she is. I didn't know who I was at the time. Essentially what happened is I kind of became more focused on her than anything else in my life.
Yeah.
And so when
How odd.
right. And so she was going to transfer to the University of Utah. So I found a job, moved up to Salt Lake, and kind of followed her up there, so to
Yeah.
say. It didn't work out. We went through
Didn't
our
happen?
process, didn't happen. She ended up going on a mission.
Oh.
And after she left on her mission, I just kind of relaxed and lived my life for the next several years. Dates here and there, but nothing really serious girlfriend.
You were pretty hung up on her, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
You fell for her pretty hard.
I did. And
Yeah.
I don't deny that. And, things happened the way they did. And there's not like, I used to dread the day I was going to run into her. Inevitably, I think that'll happen. I'll run into her with her husband and kids, and I used to dread that. But as time's gone on, and with my wife now, I don't dread that at all. It's like, okay, cool. If that happens, great. There's no bitter feelings one way or the other.
Right. So you were 24 at the time, and then you didn't get married, until you were 31. So you took a little bit more time as a single guy.
I was married to fishing at that point. I mean, like I said, I would get off work in Park City and go up. So I'd go fishing. I would go on vacations on a whim. No responsibilities.
Just whatever you wanted to do.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's a really easy lifestyle to get used to.
Yeah.
And then
I've been living it for a while.
But if you're if you're careless enough with that life, it doesn't go well. And eventually, that job that I had in Park City, things didn't work out there, and I was so exhausted.
You weren't as responsible as you could have been, is what you're saying. Right?
I don't know if I was responsible at all.
You're
so
just like whatever.
So I ended up going kind of down a dark hole. And
Did you?
I did. I lived in my car for about a year and a half.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because I was too stubborn to ask for help.
Comedy's making more sense now.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
yeah.
The open mic started while I was living in my car for the most part.
Is that? Oh, that's really interesting.
So rather
tell
than
us about that. I want to know about that.
the open mics or the living
I want to
in the
know
car?
about the living in the car part and the open mic. But go
Okay,
ahead.
so I got let go from this job in Park City, and when my savings or lack thereof started to run out, rather than go get another job or ask someone for help, I started donating plasma twice a week. And I thought, well, I'll just live in my car it'll just be like 2 weeks. I'll go get a job and then I'll get a new place. That's what the plan was. It's better than getting evicted, saves your credit, whatever.
Where were you living in your car?
At the time I was in Salt Lake.
So in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
basically that city.
Yeah. And I had
Was it summertime at the time?
July 24th.
Okay. So it was.
Of 2015.
So it wasn't a big deal to live in your car in July.
Not in July, but I did it for over a year.
Yeah.
So I went through the winter months of doing that. And I would go get a job for like a week at a time, get enough money, and I'd go stay at a motel or whatever. And I had a gym membership, so that's where I would
So you're
shower.
living like a homeless person, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember talking to someone, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Because clearly my clothes were starting to stink and everything, And they're like, "Are you on drugs?" I said, "No." And I told them what I was doing. They said, "Maybe you should do drugs because..."
You have an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was essentially living as a druggie without being a druggie.
Interesting.
It was
What did your
just-
parents think of that?
I didn't think they knew. They clearly knew.
Oh, they didn't know.
I think they knew. My dad even invited me, my dad and my stepmom invited us, "Hey, come live with us." And I was too stubborn and proud to like accept their help.
You're like, heck no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh no, I'm okay." I remember telling them I had a place to stay, and it was just like, "No, I have a parking lot that I sleep in every night." So that's.
Did you ever have any issues with that? Did the police ever come up to your car?
One time, police came up to my car, asked what was going on, and I lied. I told them that I was passing through. I was just in town for the night, and
Just
I was
trying to
too
get some
tired to
sleep.
drive home. And they appreciate it. "Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for doing that. You just can't do this every night." It's like, "Oh, okay." And so I went
So you
and
had to
found a
move.
different parking lot after that.
So a whole year, you said
About a year and a half.
a year and a
total.
half.
Yeah.
So after a year, you're like, oh, I can keep doing this for longer.
Basically, what happened is my wife and I we met online.
Oh.
We met online dating. She had reached out to me.
While you were living in the car?
Yeah.
Get out of town.
100% true story.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I tried to kind of keep
I
her
need
from
to start living in a car and I'll
You
find
don't.
a wife.
You don't. I promise. I promise. Now, she, for all intents and purposes, caught me for the most part.
Did she?
Yeah.
You were trying to lie to her too? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
everything's great. I live in this nice house.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what was happening. I was living with friends, and
Yeah.
it just.
Sure.
But she, for the most part, caught me, and I came clean of everything. And I expected well, we're done, get out of my life. Instead, she's like, well, what do you need to help? Like, let's help turn your life around. And so
Really?
so that was like a really big turning point
She's
in our
kind of like
relationship.
saving you in a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our whole motto for our entire relationship is no one knows. No one knows why this worked because she probably should have
Fascinating.
kicked me to the curb as soon as she found out. Instead, she stuck by me. She inspired me to I wanted to do better, if not for myself, then at least for her, until I realized I wanted to do better for myself. So I credit her for that 100%.
So what do you think it was about you? Obviously, your amazing charm or whatever, but but beyond that, what was it, do you think, that caused her to have this idea that she could help you through it?
I don't know. That's honestly something I don't know. There's no mathematics that made this make sense. So I don't know. I had a good connection with her. I had a good connection with her son, but I remember, there was plenty of times where I think she probably did think about kicking me to the curb, but she just felt that there was something stronger. And the more I kind of started to pull myself out of the hole, our relationship's just gotten stronger and stronger ever since.
Isn't that interesting?
So
she was living up there.
No, she was living down here.
She was living here. You were living up there.
I was already looking to move down here anyway.
Okay.
Because I wanted to come back. I've always loved
You
St.
like
George.
to follow women.
No, I did that once.
If you're walking around town and you see Chase behind you and you happen to be a woman, it's just what he does.
So I was always looking to come back here anyway, especially if I was going to live in my car. It's a lot nicer winters here. So as luck had it, I had started finding job interviews at the same time we started talking. And so I moved down here and was living in my car down here while we first started dating, and kept that charade up for a few months.
And you were how old then?
I had just turned, so when my wife and I started talking, I was 29. And by the time everything kind of came to light and I was living down here, I had just turned 30.
So you had a cell phone. This is how you were communicating with her? Through the dating app or whatever?
Yeah. And so my only source of income really was donating plasma and little odd jobs I would find like on Craigslist here and there to go make a few extra bucks.
Wow.
So,
And she, in her situation, she was a single mom, right? She had one child. And she meets this guy who's living in his car. And she's like,
You're not going to make sense of this. No matter how you try and word this, it's not going to work.
No, it's
I've tried. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. And that's just on the inside of our wedding rings. We always want to get engraved, and no one knows. We don't know why it works or how it worked, but it does. And we're just kind of perfect.
She knew
for each
something.
other. She could see something I couldn't.
Something.
Yeah. Now, again, my parents tried to help me when they figured out what was going on. For some reason, I didn't want to listen to them. I wanted to listen to my wife.
Yeah.
So there's something about her that just drew me in. And so,
did she think you were funny?
I hope so. I don't know.
Did she though? Do you think she did?
Yeah, she did. She was always really complimentary, and I would bounce joke ideas. She was before I moved down here, I was doing open mics in Salt Lake 3 or 4 times a week, all the time.
Comedy that you'd written.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was pessimistic about myself.
What were you writing comedy about then?
My family. I guess the family I grew up with.
Family life. Okay.
Family life. Or like I had a buddy who was my age, and the girl he married was really young, so I'd joke about marrying someone really young, and I had experienced dating someone young, and so like I got enough information from that to get enough laughs to keep me coming back. But anytime I'd be going to a show, I'd have like this pessimistic thought, I'm going to bomb. This isn't going to go well. She was the one who would talk me up. My wife, right? I'd be on the way. I'd take the tracks to downtown Salt Lake to the comedy club down there, and she'd be on the phone telling me to, do affirmations, talk yourself up, and she built a lot of my confidence up.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then you would go do your stand-up comedy, and you never got like kicked out of the building or anything.
No.
I mean, obviously you had enough laughs that you could keep coming back.
Yeah. I've always been comfortable speaking to a group. And so if nothing else, I think there was enough respect from either the club or the other comedians there. One of two things. There was enough respect there that they knew I wasn't going to embarrass myself, or if I did, it wouldn't be devastating. Or two, there's just some really low-hanging fruit, gross, disgusting comedians that made me look better than I was.
Well, that's often the case when it's open mic.
100%.
Yeah. What I find in open mic is most people aren't even close to prepared. Like they don't have any material prepared at all. They think a lot of times people go to these open mic things and they think, well, I'm funny.
Yeah.
My friends think I'm funny. So I'm just going to get up there and just be me.
Yeah. The hard part is if they were getting up there just to be themselves, that would be better. I think what happens is they see a Netflix special or like
Yeah.
a produced special, and they don't realize that it takes, those guys years to come up with an hour of good material.
Yeah,
they don't see all the rough,
absolutely.
and so they go up and they go try and be whoever they just saw on Netflix, and that doesn't go well because it's not really you. You're
And-
saying what you think is funny, but you're saying what you heard someone else say.
Well, I think the hard part for me when I go to an open mic is almost every single time I can tell if someone's completely unprepared. Immediately, I
Yeah.
can tell. And usually it comes out in the form of a lot of F-bombs, because they're like, oh, I've seen other comedians tell jokes and then they, use a lot of F-bombs and everybody thinks that's funny and that'll,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work either.
Nope. It doesn't, and
Yeah.
and that is a problem with open mics is you get a lot of the F-bombs, which like, I'm not a crude. I just went and saw a
Yeah.
comedian who I just went and saw Bill Burr, who says the F word every other sentence.
Yeah, he does.
But he's someone, and he would even admit, like, even he has to learn how to work clean before he can throw the swear words.
Well, you've got to do it both directions. Otherwise, you don't get as much work.
Yeah, I mean, you come up, if the F word becomes a crutch, then
Yeah.
then that's who you're going to be. Any big mainstream comedian at one point had to work clean for someone.
Yes.
And so again, I'm not against
Yeah. Do whatever they do. is
do
they
what you do.
Yeah.
But you've got to learn how to. You can make a clean joke dirty easier than you can make a dirty joke clean.
That's true. Yeah, that's really true. So eventually, your then girlfriend notices that you're doing all this comedy stuff, and she obviously was quite impressed with it. Then, how did you two end up getting together? How did that happen?
So we started talking in February of 16. We didn't meet officially until June of that year because she was living down here. And I actually, we were supposed to meet 3 other times and I had to bail out for various reasons. And she gave me a 4th chance. Again, another equation that doesn't make sense in this. She and I, our first date went to a comedy show at Wise Guys in Salt Lake.
Interesting.
And
So she drove up there.
She drove up there.
Uh-huh.
And so
What a woman.
right?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the thing that got me, we've talked every day. We've never gone 24 hours without talking since the first time we talked.
Unbelievable.
Her sense of humor is what really drew me in, is because I've never seen her get offended over a joke or whatever, and I've seen her take a joke even further than I thought it should go. So there was something that her humor really is what kind of stuck.
Is
in.
she a writer as well?
Does
she like to write?
So she's really good at writing little funny things. Her Facebook statuses are hilarious. I'm not on Facebook, but I've had my friends say, you're probably the real comedian in the family. To her.
Maybe.
So she was involved in like improv stuff for a while too. So her knowledge of comedy, she does a lot of stage productions too. She stage manages
does.
shows all throughout the city here.
Interesting.
And so she's been around writing and performing arts her whole life.
She really appreciated that part of you because
She
it was a
did.
part of her.
She did.
Yeah.
So
That's fascinating. Okay, so eventually you have your first date, and she drives up to Salt Lake. You go to a comedy club. It goes great.
yeah, it goes great. And we hung out the whole weekend there. I took her up to the Uintas where I'd go fishing and stuff. Had a great, really great 2 or 3 days up there. A couple of weeks later, I came down, met her son. We became official, so to say, after
She's
that.
6 years older than you,
Yeah. So
Okay.
at this time, I'm almost 30. She had just turned 36.
right?
Then I moved down here and we're official, and we just connected, kept getting stronger. She figured out the car thing we was living in, and then we got engaged.
How did she respond to that, by the way?
Calmly.
Did she?
She was very calm and level-headed about it.
How did you navigate that? When she came up to visit you and you were living in your car, you just went in her car?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I said, hey, something's wrong with my car. Do you mind driving? And so I made my way down to her where she was staying with one of her friends. And so I knocked on the door, picked her up, and then we took her car on the date.
Wow.
There was nothing about this that's going to make sense. It's the more information you get, the worse it's going to sound.
That's so awesome. I love this story. This is
Yeah.
the best part of this whole interview. Okay. All right. So then eventually you guys continue dating. She finds out about the living in the car thing. She's fine with it.
Not fine with it. She's just not raking me over the coals for it.
She didn't
But-
punish you for it.
She essentially says, you're better than what you're showing. And
Wow.
we're going to help you find where your best self is.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so we got engaged in January of 17, and then we had like 3 different dates that we postponed because I couldn't like get past the fact that this girl actually loved me.
Yeah.
I knew and so my feet were cold, and I just we kept pushing it off. And then finally, with some motivation and really good advice from other people, we got married December 16th of 2017. So about a year and a half after we met, just short of 2 years from when
And
we
every
first
day
talked.
you guys talk to each other. That whole
Every
process.
single day.
Wow.
There was one time where I was behind on my phone bill and my phone got caught, so I emailed her from the public library and said, "Hey, phone's not working. You can
Well,
email me."
it sounds like she got you out of the car
Yeah,
because you started renting at a certain point.
yeah.
She's like, he's going the right direction now.
She basically, metaphorically, I was an off-road just hitting, and she just put me on a trail. She just got me on the trail heading
She's
the right
exactly
way.
what you needed.
Still is.
And do you think that you were exactly what she needed?
In some respects, yeah. In some respects, I do. And it works. It's yin and yang. We have opposite styles on a lot of things. I'm more introverted,
Right.
and she's more let's go have a party, and that's not me. But for whatever reason, it works, and it works great.
That's awesome. So, and then you've had 2 kids together.
We
since
do.
Then you've been
We
married.
do. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got my 3-year-old boy and my 1-year-old girl. She just turned 1 in November last month.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
We've got a little less than 5 minutes left. I want to talk about the comedy process because tell us where you're going to be performing in the next little bit. here.
January 7th, and your mom is on the show.
She's on the bill for this?
She is. It's going to be at the Electric Theater at 7 p.m. Tickets are only like $5.
Is it Dixie Got Talent? Is that the one?
No,
it's a
this
different
is something my wife and I have done ourselves. So it's separate.
one. Oh, okay.
It's not involved with Dixie's Got Talent. It's not involved with Electric Comedy, who normally does their shows there. This is something that we're doing exclusively
Cool.
for ourselves.
Yeah.
So there'll be 5 total performers, one being your mom. We got Connor Heward. We've got Cole Williams, and his dad, Shane Williams, goes by Shane's Brain. I've known them from open mic days years ago. When I first moved to St. George, we'd go to open mics at Even Stevens.
Yeah.
And that's where I met them. And so we've just kind of been buddies ever since. And we saw an opportunity to put a show on where I could bring these St. George originals on and give someone like your mom
That's
another
cool.
chance.
I know
And
she really appreciates it.
I love
Yeah.
your mom.
Yeah, she's the best.
How old is she? 83?
83.
And she just started in April-ish.
Well, she's been messing around with it for a while.
Okay.
But I mean, seriously, yeah.
She has given everyone who's even considered it 0 excuses. If anyone has an excuse to not go out and do it, it's her. And she goes out, and everyone loves her, no
Yeah.
matter what. Even at open mics, which are fairly, crude. And
Yeah.
she's not. People
She can't
love
hear
your
anything.
mom.
She can't hear the F-bombs.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what she says anyway.
yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, so you've got this show coming up, which you and your wife are producing.
right.
Right.
And I'm gonna headline that one. So
Cool. How long are you gonna? How much?
I'll
time you
probably be
got?
up there between 40 and 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. Is that your first time doing that long?
That long, yeah. So I've headlined 2 other times. One time was only like 25 minutes. And then the first time I met your mom, we did a show at Blues Cats.
Yeah.
And I headlined that when I did 30 even. And
Yeah.
so this time I'm going to go 40, 45 minutes and just kind of every good joke I've come up with, I'm just going to put it all together and throw it out there.
Then what's after that? Is it the talent show after that?
That I'm not involved with that.
Oh,
That's all
okay.
your mom.
Oh, that's my
and,
mom.
And
Okay.
she's still in the running from what I understand.
I guess. I don't know.
There's other shows that'll pop up. I know, like the one Ed Tracy was doing in Washington.
Yeah.
They're going to find a new location and they're going to keep that going in
Gonna keep that going.
2023. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. I know Electric Comedy will probably do a few more shows, but even Tuacahn is hosting comedians, bigger names. They just had Jay Leno in there. They have Jeff Foxworthy. So comedy's a growing thing here in this town. And it's cool to see.
It is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see that happening.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a couple minutes left. This is what I do at the end of the show is I say, Chase, give the world your advice.
My advice is I'm going to steal it from my older sister. My mom passed away when I was in high school. We didn't touch on that, but my sister wrote a poem and read it at her funeral. And one of the lines from the poem she wrote was, I'm going to butcher this, essentially, walk through life with your head held high, learn to laugh, and never be ashamed to cry. essentially. So that's one thing I've had to learn how to do over the years is feel my feelings, good or bad. Don't be ashamed of having a hard day or having a hard week or month or year, but find ways to laugh as you go through those hard times. Because when you're laughing at something, you kind of get a sense of relief and control over whatever it is you're dealing with. Laughter will make your good day great and your bad days better. So,
wow. So that's interesting. Laughter is obviously a big part of the healing process for you.
yeah.
I mean, even when you were living in a car as basically a homeless person, you were doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah. 3 or 4 times a week.
And then that was really probably quite therapeutic for you, I would guess.
It was, again, kind of going back to when I skipped school, it was one area where I had control over my life. Even if it was for 3 minutes on stage, I was up there saying the words I wrote, doing it how I wanted to do, and that was the only part of my life I felt like I had control over.
That's fascinating. Well, Chase McPhee's been our guest today. You can see him around town. You'll see him at some I've seen Chase. He's got some great comedy that he's written, and it's mostly about him and his life, and also this crazy culture that we live in.
A little bit.
Chase, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
You've been listening to My Life, a radio show about your